Coming up next, vandals strike a local library. We have the latest information on what steps it's taking to fix the damage and prevent more trouble.
And we caught up with Penn State students who traveled to Rio de Janeiro to cover the Paralympics. We'll hear about their once-in-a-lifetime experience. The Center County Report starts now. Good afternoon, I'm Jenna Kaminsky.
And I'm Alex Blankman. Election Day is just over 6 weeks away, and the presidential campaigns are starting to focus more on central Pennsylvania. The state Republican Party just opened up an office in State College, and the Clinton campaign already has one there. Donald Trump's son Eric will attend an event in Howard tomorrow, while Chelsea Clinton campaigns for Hillary in Johnstown. Meanwhile, another presidential candidate visited Penn State this week. Maria Dettinger has the story.
Third-party presidential candidate Jill Stein held a rally in Penn State's Freeman Auditorium. The audience included people from the Black Lives Matter movement, pipeline critics, and even some Bernie Sanders supporters.
Yeah, when I was a student here back
Doug Mason leads the Center County Green Party. He's been a longtime supporter of third-party candidates since he went to school here nearly 3 decades ago.
I really think there's some structural changes that aren't going to happen unless there's a, quote, revolution in political thinking. And I think we need to have a third party, and I think the Green Party fits the bill right now.
Stein spoke about issues important to her: trade and repealing NAFTA, climate change, and of her goal to end student loan debt. Jill Stein stood on this stage on Wednesday, but there is another stage that she's being excluded from. She and Gary Johnson, another third-party candidate, didn't make the cut for next week's first presidential debate based on their polling numbers.
We need to be in that debate if there's going to be a real debate. Otherwise, it is a scam. It is not a debate. So I hope you will join me at the gates of Hofstra University for the first debate on the 26th of September. We will be there pushing in every way we can to challenge this fraud of the presidential debates run by a private corporation representing the Democratic and Republican parties.
I really think there needs to be a break from the corporate control of America, and people need to reclaim their power. We've got the power. If everybody got out there and voted, we could change things overnight.
In University Park, I'm Maria Dettinger for the Center County Report.
The first presidential debate is Monday night at Hofstra University on Long Island. The next one is October 9th in St. Louis.
Charlotte, North Carolina dealt with a third night of protests last night after a deadly police shooting, and a man shot during one of this week's protests has died. Justin Carr died last night after someone shot him while he protested the police shooting of Keith Lamont Scott. It's been a violent few days on the streets of North Carolina's biggest city as dozens of arrests were made. The Charlotte police chief says he won't release the dash cam or body camera footage from Scott's death. City officials called for peace after property damage and fires in the aftermath of the shooting. Investigators still haven't been able to question the suspect in the New York and New Jersey bombings because he's too injured from the shootout with police. Meanwhile, we're learning more about his possible motives. Prosecutors say a bloodied and bullet-ridden journal found on Ahmad Khan Rahmani indicates he was inspired by Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and he praised Osama bin Laden. The Afghan-born U.S. citizen set off a manhunt after police say he planted homemade bombs in Seaside, New Jersey, and in the Chelsea neighborhood in Manhattan.
Police are still trying to track down the men who vandalized the new parking gates at SCLO Library and State College. Reporter Rasha Garrier has more on the story.
The SCLO Library's new LED light gates were vandalized, which caused the library to lose a lot of parking revenue. Library Director Kathy Alloway explains what this means for the library.
We count on getting a couple $100 on a football weekend from the people that are desperate for a parking space overnight. And in fact, on Sunday morning, we found a number of cars parked here that were parking free of charge because the gate was inoperable.
A community member was eager to help the library's funds by creating a GoFundMe page. However, Alloway expresses that it wasn't needed.
The good news is that insurance and warranties and other things are likely to cover the costs of the damaged gate.
I'm currently standing by these newly installed LED light gates that were damaged and vandalized that Saturday afternoon at 3:41 p.m. That is located at 211 South Allen Street.
The library's parking lots hold important value to the Centre County residents who continuously visit the library.
I hope it wouldn't occur again because a lot of people do use the parking lot. A lot of people do bring their children down here to use the library.
Alloway says they plan on increasing security at the library.
There are additional security cameras in the works for the parking lot. It actually has been for some time.
Yet she was very surprised by the amount of support the library has gained from the community.
We're feeling very gratified and honored that people in the community care so much about the care of this valuable resource.
In State College, I'm Rasha Guerrier reporting for the Centre County Report.
State College police are asking anyone who might have information in this case to call them right away.
A new state law now in effect makes it legal to drive through a red light. Well, only if the light is broken. The law allows drivers to go through an intersection if the traffic signal isn't working properly, but you have to come to a total stop first and then proceed with caution. The idea was originally designed for motorcycles, which often don't trigger the light to change. It later expanded to include all vehicles.
Did you know 10% of all small business owners are veterans, but vets only make up 1% of the United States population? Penn State's Small Business Development Center is teaming up with Centre County to offer free business training to active military personnel.
We have a lot of veterans in our community, and veterans make great entrepreneurs. And so as we're looking to spur entrepreneurship in our community through the Invent Penn State initiative as well as other initiatives, we're looking to the veteran population and military population to grow more businesses in our community. So we're offering this free training.
The two-day training is October 12th and November 9th at Innovation Park. For more, visit dbdc.psu.edu/events/vets.
Construction has officially started in State College on a multi-purpose building on East College Avenue at the old Kildare's location. The 330,000 square foot building is expected to be finished in 2018. It will have graduate and undergraduate apartments along with a street-level grocery store called Urban Market. Pre-leasing for the student housing spaces will begin next fall.
Disabled athletes from around the world arrived home this week after the Summer Paralympics wrapped up Sunday in Rio. A team of Penn State journalists just got back as well after covering the events in Brazil for a major news outlet. The group of 9 students and 4 teachers had the experience of a lifetime.
Welcome to Rio, home of the 2016 Paralympic Games and headquarters for a group of Penn State College of Communication students and teachers covering the event for the Associated Press.
So the Paralympics is all about people who have some physical limitation that they're overcoming, and they're incredible athletes.
For instance, 5-a-side soccer. It's just like a regular game of soccer except one big difference. Everyone on the field besides the goalies is blind. There's also a jingle bell inside the ball to help the players find it.
So they're following that for direction and velocity and playing full-speed soccer and scoring goals.
The trip was a partnership between the Associated Press and Penn State's Curley Center for Sports Journalism. The goal? To out student journalists on the front line of a major international event. Not only did they report on the Paralympics for a worldwide audience, these students came away with personal and professional experiences that few others have.
My goal when we went down there was to get something picked up by the New York Times, and I think everybody on the trip that wrote an article got picked up by the New York Times, which was really, really cool.
For Nicole Barros, the spirit of the games is what really made it special.
While we were down there, I was primarily writing, so I did a story on the Brazilian fans and like the karaoke spirit of the Brazilian fans. So I did interviews with Brazilians. I had a translator who was actually a Penn State graduate that was down there with us, and he helped me translate the interviews.
Every day, the Penn State contingent found unique and inspiring stories to tell.
There was a guy who swam who had no arms. There's a guy who's an archer who shoots a bow with one leg and his teeth. And they're good. The archer is actually one of the best archers in the world, able-bodied or not.
An experience these student journalists and their mentors won't soon forget.
More than 4,000 athletes from 163 countries took part in the Paralympics in Rio. The next Paralympics will be held in 2 years in Pyeongchang, South Korea.
Coming up next, we talk with a young woman who battled mental illness for years, and now she's made it her mission to help others.
Plus, our weekend weather forecast, and a look at the surprising way a local high school football player stays calm and focused during the stress of football. That story in sports.